Hi, everyone. I'm Jerry V. Hall, and welcome to our last installment of our HyperCycle Year in Review. This series is all about reflecting on the incredible journey we've had in 2024 and looking ahead to the exciting opportunities in 2025. Today, we will be ending this series with our CEO, Toufi Saliba. How are you, Toufi?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, man. I wanted to see you're uniquely positioned to talk about some of these topics that some of the other folks in the C-suite haven't been able to necessarily address and haven't been asked, but are really markers of how far we've really come this year. Can you give me just a little bit on the team growth for 2025 from your perspective as the guy leading this charge?
Right. So, just the way we've been growing and building the company is in a very decentralized way, all the way from the ground up. We have 0 people on the payroll. Everybody that we've got contracts, independent contracts, and then we have sub companies, and then each and every company has its own people, and so on and so forth. And we use, as everybody aware, a huge percentage of our revenue to invest into 21 companies in most of them. They were in 2024, a little bit before that. We're one of the very unique companies that we've been operating for 2 years, 2 months and 2 weeks, and we have not raised any money for equity whatsoever. We've been all operating by selling what the company produces, which in some terms, people, they treat that as the revenue side of day one by selling licenses. And then we've activated something that is called a Node Factory, which is we turn our clients into factory owners that they manufacture those nodes. And the comparison here that people, they seem to give is like, for what Cisco did to Homo sapien, enabled like the ISVs like internet service provider, like Verizon, and they provided them with the ability to go and get people's internet into their own home. Well, that's pretty much what we do, but for AI agents. We enable our customers to provide internet for agents. So our customers, they manufacture the nodes, they get plugged into AI agents. And that's extremely important to have the distinction from a business perspective. And we all know what those AI agents, they do. They get plugged into any AI and enable this AI to make, on one side, a little bit more money every second, and another side to become a little bit more intelligent every second, because it's connected to all the other AIs in the world, which is super awesome.
Well, from a metric perspective, so you cannot have a node factory without first starting with a license. What has the license growth been like for HyperCycle in year 2024?
Huge. So up until now, we have sold 500 and last I checked, 561,000 node factories. So 561,000 nodes, that the vast majority of them, they've been converted into node factories. And how you convert them into node factory, you buy the node license, and then you get 1024 HYPC, you marry them, and then now you have a node factory that can manufacture 1023 nodes, or 1024 if you wish, because in the way it is constructed to manufacture those nodes, it uses a lot of components to ensure that whatever governance that you use, it's all on your own. It's a fully decentralized system. Every one of those node factory owners, they can have their own governance into their own. You have your own territory. Nobody tells you how to manage your business. You do it however you want. But the better you do, the better you can have cryptographic proofs that you are doing a great service for that network, and the faster you can manufacture. The fastest possible way to manufacture all of those nodes is 5 years and 6 months. No matter how fast you go, you're not going to get 1024 nodes in less than 5 years and 6 months from the time you actually get it going. So if people, they go in in an average way is estimated to be about 7 years if they're operating them like regularly. And I think people are very happy with that, because if you're starting a business that you want to enable people to have access to the internet, you want to be able to make sure that like the people they're growing nicely over that period, and then from there on they continue having monthly payments that they pay you for that internet that you're providing them. Here it's kind of like similar. You want to start with by having your one connection, then you connect it to 4, 8. It's a binary structure. That's how you get to 1024. And all of that is done in a fully decentralized settings. There is no third party that come in halfway and say, I want to change the rules. It is what is. It is, nothing can change. It's like you take it and you operate, and it's kind of like nature. Nobody can change the structure of how oxygen and hydrogen, they kind of merge together to form water. Okay, like people, they can try, but that's how they function. They follow the laws of physics, and it's under a certain temperature, you put oxygen next to the hydrogen, and together they do the spark, and then they form water. And if you do have water, people, they're buying water from you, then you gotta get the hydrogen and oxygen, and they function the exact same way. So it's super cool. We follow laws of physics all the way through, and it's awesome.
Well, one of the elements that I think I personally find so intriguing about the way a node factory facilitates its ability to be an economic actor is that it needs that license paired with tokens, and the fact that through performance it can split off. It's programmed in the sauce, and the ability as a node factory owner myself to take on partners for any one of those nodes that splits off with my RNS tokens. I have the ability
Right.
to dictate certain percentages of those to allocate to people if they're going to be part of my business or not. The other element, and this is, I think, really important to understand, is that when I came on to HyperCycle in August of 2023, you had already been, I think you sold over 154,000 licenses. And those licenses are the foundation for any node factory, right? Now to say that just a year and a half later, we're up to 540,000 of those licenses have been sold.
561,000. Yeah, 561,000. And by the time I'll check, it probably will be a little bit more. So it's an ongoing process. Yeah.
This is a very strong indication
Right.
that the world is starting to see where participation in networks is far more valuable than using a network. And so we'll get into that a little bit more, because I would like you to help clarify this element that keeps coming over and over and over again in the community, and that is the when compute.
Yeah, so compute started 1 year, 2 months, 1 year and 3 months ago, precisely, actually, to be. So we started the computer. So just to clarify, you're asking me as a HyperCycle. You're
Right.
not asking me as a partner as HyperPG.
No, I'm not asking about Hyper Appliance, and I'm not asking
Right.
about HyperPG. I'm asking specifically
Correct.
about HyperCycle.
Correct, because about a year ago, I've been spotted as about on behalf of HyperPG, when is HyperPG is going to deploy some compute for some customer, whatnot, and then there were supposed to be some data, whatnot. So that was purely our client who we entered in joint venture with. Remember, if any moment HyperCycle says, I am going to be doing the compute, we lose our customers. Our customers, they're the ones that they go and provide the compute. Okay? We're the network. They plug it and they do the compute. It is not, it's kind of like Intel sells the microchip and Dell manufactures the PC. If you ask Intel, be like, hey, when are you gonna like have that PC release? Be like, wait. If you ask me as a partner of Dell, I can tell you like maybe in a month they're gonna have another one, maybe in 6 months or whatnot. But from Intel perspective, if it's going to start manufacturing what its clients is buying from it, it might be very, very problematic to Intel. So it's extremely important to distinguish here. The compute that we provide has been working phenomenally well with the cryptographic proof every 15 seconds for every single node across the entire network. And that is what enable the node factories to manufacture nodes. That's how they make money. When people, they buy, let's say you're buying a factory that's making cars or making trucks or buses. Is it actually in the process of doing that, putting the parts, is it manufacturing that? And if the answer is yes, and then that factory is making you money. This is great. Now, when you make the cars, do you sell them? Great. Now, if you sell them and then the Uber guy buys the car from you, and then the Uber driver starts collecting money on their revenue, this is fantastic for the Uber guy. They're doing great. They're using your cars to go and make money, and you're manufacturing the cars. That's how that process works, right? So it's extremely important if you're buying a factory from me to manufacture those cars. I don't go and bypass you and go and give to the to the actual Uber guy or actually starts driving Uber myself and whatnot. So it's extremely important to make sure that we don't compete with our customers or the customers of our customers. We cannot do that as a HyperCycle. We need to maintain that relationship that we sell them something that works, and then as they propagate it, it works. Of course, having certain proofs that there are a lot of people driving those Uber cars or driving the trucks and shipping products or whatnot, they're making money, is a phenomenal thing. It shows like from A to Z, this entire thing. Like people, they buy the cars, they drive the cars, they make money. People drive trucks and they go and make money. And then showing all of that as a proof is a phenomenal thing for HyperCycle, to produce more and more of that factory. Now, think about it this way, Jerry. If that proof is constructed all the way from A to Z and you can give it to anybody on the planet, the provider of that, then you ask the question, can it scale to everybody on the planet? And the answer is yes. By construct, it's built in a fully decentralized setting. It's all peer-to-peer. What would be this thing that can enable that Internet of AI? What would be worth at that point if you have that proof that you can give it to everybody? Is it going to be less than a single company that is producing AI agent, or is it going to be a lot more? And most people, they tell me that they know a lot about entities like that, and they say it's like, you are really working on something that is $1 trillion, and that doesn't really happen often. There's $1 trillion companies that to go very quickly and fast towards that. Is that a possibility for every company to say that? And I can tell you, I found a lot of companies. In many companies, I can tell you, this company gets 100 million either sold or collapsed. This other company, 10 million. This other company, billion. And but can I look you in the eye and tell you that this is $1 trillion plus? And I can say yes. So it's beautiful to be in that place to kind of drive in that direction and make sure that we all get there together and not just me on my own. So we want to enable. We currently have about 3,800 customers, 850, something like that. So there's 3,850 owners of factories. How about all of us together? We get to that $1 trillion plus, and then so on and so forth. Maybe we can get to the quadrillion. That's fantastic. How do we do that? That's value creation. We're not taking that from anybody. We're creating that new value to the world, and that new value is adding value to every single AI every single day. And yeah, so I invite everyone who's a node owner to see it from that perspective. This is where we're heading. We can drive there together, as opposed to 30 years ago, the way the world functioned. If it's Microsoft is the only one who manufactures the actual SQL server and sells the SQL servers. That's it. If you want to buy a license, you buy from Microsoft. But here we're in a world that we can accelerate a lot faster when we have 3,850 Bill Gates walking around town, and each and every one of them manufacturing SQL servers and selling those SQL servers. It's massive how we can grow. So yeah, I'm quite excited to what we've devised for 2025 to actually enable even that community of 3,850 to grow to hopefully 30,000. But we're putting it. Let's crawl, walk, run, and maybe we can get to 30,000 owners of factories by the end of 2025. We'll see, but I'm saying 6,000 for now.
I think that's a great goal. That's a great goal, one that I'm committed to helping you with. I think on the topic of valuation, one of the things that I would like to bring some clarity to that is not necessarily the most intuitive conversation to have with, especially a lot of the folks in our community, and that is the valuation of HyperCycle not being based on an HYPC token, the number of tokens there are versus the price of the token at any given moment being the valuation of the.
It's a component. The node owners during the project C8, they're looking towards the 200-day closing of project C8, which supposedly starts like mid-January towards maybe end of January, let's say, and then finishes end of August.
Time out just for a second. So, and this gets a lot of questions too. Project C8 has many components to it, but one of the things that I think is the most important for the community to understand is that you have decided to take some companies that were going to build subscription-based services on the network and acquire them under the HyperCycle umbrella and offer the services that they were going to charge the node owners for as part of their, to just give them to the node owners to add value to the node owners. And that is what this 200-day period is people that acquire node factories in the next 200 days will be given a suite of apps or functionalities that would have been under a subscription model will now be free for those node owners in 200 days starting in the day in January that you started.
Right. So we acquire sufficient materials to kind of put them in there. So then we might not be able to afford to acquire all the materials that they generate. The way you want to look at it, it's like constructing the node factory. So long as you've constructed the basis of the node factory, you married your HYPC to a license, so you became a factory. There is additional components. Metaphorically, folks, they like to describe it's like you get like a little bit of metal, a little bit of plastic, a little bit of wood. How can you need to buy those materials to kind of like get to manufacture those as well? So those components, for example, people, they heard of Emifier, you buy it for, let's say, $175 the license, or you spend $10 per license per year, and then that's like their base price for the node. Sure, you want to, if you only have the node license and you don't have the factory and you want to subscribe to Emifier, you spend $10 per year, and then you can have the access to the Emifier. I'm just giving you an example of Emifier. But what we did, we started bringing in all of the necessary components so that the node factory owners, they own the capability to manufacture licenses for Emifier as well, and all the other components for what they need. So if you have one factory, you're able to manufacture 1,024 nodes. You will also be able to manufacture 1,024 licenses of Emifier and CTIP and all of the additional cool components. This is super cool. So then we started looking based on today's value of all of those components, the HYPCs, the license, and all of these things. When you're putting them together, what's the floor value on today's thing? What's the floor value of that node factory? And if it's a $2,000, that's great. Now, some people, they say, is this it? It's going to be 1,000. I'm going to grow. Well, we know what the floor is, and people, they're happy in knowing what the floor is. If people, they want to do speculation and see that like it could be $10,000 or 20 or whatnot, they can do their own math. But the one thing that we know for sure, a node factory that you buy it and put it dormant, it will not grow to make nodes, and it will not be. You have to kind of work on it the same way you buy. Let's say, remember this metaphor we use. Like it's like you're buying a franchise of coffee shop in a store. So you buy the franchise of a coffee shop, then you buy like that store in some location in London. You put them together, and then you're like, okay, now I have a coffee shop. It's called the Jerry's Coffee Shop. And Jerry's Coffee Shop in 6 months it starts performing much better than the previous coffee shop that was there, right? And it's and then if you bought it for $1 million, the whole thing, can you sell it for 2 million if it's doing a lot better, more uptime, more revenue, and all that? And everybody would be like, in this world, in this civilization, the answer is yes. And if that answer is yes, that delta is referred to as wealth creation. That's above and beyond the revenue. So if you remember, the coffee shop generates revenue, spends money and all that, and then it has some sort of profit or whatnot. But then the better it does, the higher the value of that coffee shop. It's no longer $1 million coffee shop; it's 2 million. That delta is a wealth creation. Now, let's say you sell it for 2 million, you go and do it again. You buy 2 other coffee shops, and you do the same. The maximum you can do is 1,024, let's say, because the city of London is saturated. Let's say if you're doing the city of London, it's not unlimited, and that's the beauty of what we have provided on top of everything technological that you have built, is the ability to enable our customers to partake in that wealth creation that is happening in the world, whether people like it or not. And it's driven by, accelerated by a lot of like the AI movements. So it's a beautiful, honorable thing, because you're adding a lot of value to people by making those nodes work a lot better than they would be if they were to be dormant. And the more they are doing a good job, the more you accelerate your factory to manufacture those nodes, and the more you can have the ability to have 1,024 nodes running. So this is what we're excited about, that we feel like we've brought 2 things that they are unique to this world. One is the ability for peer-to-peer to machines to talk to each other, which is a phenomenal technological innovation. And the other one is enabling every Homo sapien to partake in that wealth creation by owning a piece of that or by operating. So, and this is where I would like to touch on, if you don't mind, the owning and operating. Yeah, because it's important, owning and operating, Jerry, because it's important, because many people, they say, it's like, wait, what if I don't have $2,000 to buy a node factory? Then maybe you have time, maybe you have skills, maybe you have both, maybe, and that's called the node operator. And this is super cool. I want to talk about that.
I do, and because one of the things that there are so many distinctions that separate a node factory participant, owner, operator from the rest of the world of crypto when it comes to validation. You spin up your software, you have your hardware, your electricity running through it, and it's kind of set it and forget it. The HyperCycle node factories and the versatility in it are where the real value comes from, not the market cap of the coin on coin market cap. So absolutely, I want you to elaborate on this value, whether it be the owner, operator, or any of the elements that you want to talk about, because that is the distinction we need to bring to the masses.
Right. Yeah. So, many people, when they actually take a deeper look, they say, wait, so you're not a crypto company. Wait, so you are just like an AI company. Oh, you're, we're a network company. We're not crypto, we're not AI. We're a network company. That this company decided to look at the great things that are happening in the AI world and the crypto world, and take the good things from the crypto world and not necessarily the bad things. For example, Microsoft, you want to buy a product from Microsoft, you go through like the whole, PO, purchase order, invoicing, and pay them for, and you get that license. We use a method that in 15 seconds you can get that license, and it's you get immutable and irrefutable rights over that license, and then we use the crypto channel for that. It simplifies things. You just get in. You call it in and out of crypto. It's extremely important. Because many people, they say it's like, wait, so you're running like the Internet of AI on like the blockchain? And the answer is like, that cannot work. The existing blockchains, they're all ledger based that you have to go to the ledger every single time. It slows down everything. So we use it to kind of like buy, to enable our customers to buy the products. Okay. And it's also, it gives you the proof of provenance, and it gives you like the entire history. So there's a lot of cool things that the crypto provide to the world. Instead of like people, they say it's like, well, crypto, like classify you as just crypto, classify you as just AI. There's great things in both, and we want to take the great things from both and provide it to our clients. So as a customer of ours, they feel that they enjoy the ability that what they own is uh, something that they can look at what's out there in the world and use it to resell it, to manage it without having to depend on any third party. Microsoft can die, collapse tomorrow. Imagine you still have the licenses that you've got, and you can prove everyone in the world you've got the licenses for that. SQL Server, let's say, and you're able to manufacture SQL Server with or without Microsoft. If I die today and we all die with HyperCycle, the 561,000 licenses, they will find their ways to be all node owners. At least half of them, they're factory owners. Those factory owners will end up manufacturing about 575 million nodes into the world. They will be connected to the world of AI, connecting and benefiting. So so any compute that is happening anywhere, you're able to plug this into, but it's ideal for AI, because many people, they say it's like, wait, what do you mean? Just like for AI, so long as it's actually running compute algorithms, stuff like that, this node can be connected to it. So that's basically the long the long answer. But I want to bridge towards the operator versus the owner, because as an owner, you have the capability to buy, and it's kind of like, if you go to look at that coffee shop example, you buy the franchise license. Let's say you buy the coffee shop that existed there that was called like John's Coffee Shop, and then you convert it to that other one that's called Jerry or Starbucks, whatever it is. That if you want to spend 9 hours to learn how to operate it, you can. But you need to spend some time to learn how to operate it. It's a coffee shop. Coffee shops are complicated, right? Like, you can't just like buy a coffee shop and run it without knowing how to operate it. Now imagine, I'm telling you, it's like a node factory of AI nodes. Do you expect it to be, oh yeah, it's super duper easy, you just buy the operator, like a couple clicks and it's done? I mean, it requires it requires certain skills to operate that node. If a coffee shop is complicated, it has the right to have some complexity in this world, which means it reduces opportunity to operators, because many people, they say, you know what, you bought that node, that's good for you, Jerry. I don't have the $2,000 to buy the node. Maybe I can learn how to operate it, and I will operate it for you, and I'll take a piece and take a piece. How about that? And Jerry's like, please do it. How much are you gonna pay me? And historically speaking, node operators, they've been proven with like HyperPG or whatnot, that they would pay you 10% yield. They say, here, you know what? If it's $2,000, which is, by the way, when we say $2,000, actually in that specific setup, most of the people, when they look deeper, they see that you can plug it as a $9,800 entity and saying, like, give me yield $980 per year, and I don't want anything more. Just give me 980 USDT, whatever it is. And people are happy. If they're happy, that's one way of dealing with it. And the operator, now here's the thing. People would be like, okay, so I collect this money. And then in 6 or 7 years, I own this business that is worth all of the stuff. No, doesn't work like that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. The operator owns that stuff. They're the ones that they're providing you with the money. So if people decide to give it to the operator basically the factory that you have is manufacturing nodes. All of those nodes, they're owned by the operator as it manufactures nodes. You just collect that $980 every year on your node, and then you're happy. So that's one way of people dealing with it. You're like, I own a node, can I plug it and just collect yield? I don't want to be dealing with all of the stuff. That's easy. For node owners that they consider themselves sophisticated, they want the headache, they want to be dealing with all of the stuff, then the factory has the ability, there is something called RNS. Now they want to use their brain, like, fuck, man, RNS, what's RNS? R is for revenue tokens, S for, it's kind of like shares. It's kind of like, you own a company and you want to give a percentage of that revenue to the operator and keep the rest. And now, of course, you want to give a percentage of the S as well, so they can partake in the wealth creation. The S means that you own that node. So if you keep all the S to yourself, in that 5.5 years, you've got that business. How much is it worth, Jerry? If it's $10 per node per month?
In 5 years, over $1 million.
There you go. So you've got a business that, according to private equity people, they say $10 per node per month in revenue. You have 1,000 nodes running. That's $120,000 a year in revenue. It's recurring revenue. Your business is over $1 million worth. So if you own the node and you're giving, and here it's like you're giving all of that revenue away. In about 6 years, you own all of that. This is great. So that's one way of people, they may deal with it. Some other way, people, they'd be like, you know what? I don't want to like sit 6 years and wait for that node operator to collect all of that revenue. How about I take half of the revenue and I give them half that wealth creation?
Yeah.
Great. You could do that too. Then in 6 years, you have $500,000. The node operator's got $500,000 of ownership. And in that period, whatever that revenue minus the expenses they need to pay for the hardware and all that, and you collect the profit. People, they might choose that. No, I've given you a headache, right? So that's one way. People, they feel like they want to deal with the headache. They can make more money, right? Like you end up like with the $500,000-$600,000 property in 5-6 years, but you might sacrifice that $980 a year, because the first year you might not generate $980, you might get $400. But an operator would be willing to pay you $980 this year because they know that like next year it's gonna be easier. It's kind of like you buy a house with all mortgaged out, you don't have any down payment, then your monthly payments is so high, so you gotta rent it. To the initial rent, you might not receive from the people that paying you rent enough to cover that. So, the banks, they don't care. They just want to collect that money every month. So that's the analogy people, they sometimes use.
Yeah, it's really truly unique, right? It's truly unique in that in the world outside of crypto, it's not at all unique to have somebody own a piece of property and somebody else manage it and receive a compensation for that management. It's not at all uncommon in the world of business to have somebody own a Starbucks and have somebody manage that Starbucks and get a piece of the, not only the revenue that's generated, but maybe a piece of the business itself. These are very common practices in the world of business, but very uncommon in the world of the way we think about nodes, validation, and blockchain, right? And transaction.
Right.
And so that is one of the things I think is the most, well, for me, the most exciting element is the growth of a node and the ability to is actively or passively manage it, that I choose. I make the choice, not you, not my grandmother, not Lord knows, not my wife, etc. It's going to be me that makes the decision. And I think we're going to see, Toufi, the emergence of jobs, or at least positions in the world of AI as it pertains to HyperCycle, there will be people that specialize in managing nodes. They've developed a set of skill sets. They understand how to use the aim of fire. They understand how to interact with the marketplace. They are using analytic tools to see what AIs are earning the most money. They will even build on top of the network to create these tools for themselves.
Yes.
And so when you start talking,
education
right,
is that thing. The education is and we're calling that as part of that project C8. We're calling it the 9.9.9. So we call it the 99.9. Why 9 for 9 hours? Anyone in the world with the right attention, they spend 9 hours, they're able to become an operator. But that's like not necessarily the most sophisticated operator, as opposed to a developer who knows how to write code. They can spend 9 days. That's how long it takes, 9 days. But in those 9 days, they're not able to just like plug into AIs here and there. They're able to kind of maximize your revenue. They're able to do all kind of cool stuff because, it's kind of like, do you want the general manager of your coffee shops to have, masters from like Harvard, or do you want them to be like somebody who's just got some experience? I mean, you choose. Sometimes people, they say, hey, master from Harvard, fuck that, they're gonna mess it up. I want somebody just like with some hands-on experience. That's fine. People, they get to choose whatever they want, but we want to be, as part of project C8, is introduce those 3 programs, the 9 and 9 and the 9. So what's the last 9? So we talked about 9 hours.
9 weeks. 9 hours, 9 days, 9 weeks.
Correct. So the 9 weeks is more for, it's like a boot camp, not for the software developers. If somebody is a software developer, of course, you can still take it. But that's more like MIT has one now, 6 weeks. We might be doing some partnership with very reputable university. We're not going to mention who right now, but it's we've already we're doing a joint press release with one of the largest entity that is actually going to gear this up to more than 60 million users that they've decided to build on HyperCycle. So that's a different topic we can address. But back to the last ticket. So 9 hours,
9 days.
9 days, or 9 weeks. Okay, look at that, the balloons. Check this out. So the 9 weeks, it's for anybody with enough time and attention. They're able to plug themselves for 9 weeks. So it doesn't require a software developer skills. Now, education is known in this civilization that costs money and time. And of course, effort. If anybody finds education that doesn't cost those 3 things, please let the world know, because they need you. So far, we've found out that they do cost those 3 things. And because like the educator, whoever is going to be the educator, they need to be paid. So we don't take any money from that at all. So whatever the educator is going to charge, they're going to charge you. However, we have negotiated phenomenal deals with those. They're going to be educators that they will let into their class. So let's say they have a class of like 10, they would let always like 50% coming from node owner's ticket. So every node owner will have the ability to have a ticket that they can give it to any operator. So if you have a single node, you will have like for like just like the basis, like the 9 hours. And of course, if you have like the master node, you will have like the 9 weeks boot camp. And those 9 weeks boot camps, like the last one, MIT was charging about $3,200 for the 6 weeks. So the partnership with whoever is probably going to be significant. It's anywhere, we're talking about something, education, $3,000 to $9,000 potentially. But as a node owner, when you feel like you've got that ticket that you can give it to someone that you care about, you want to be careful not to give it away for someone who doesn't really appreciate it, doesn't really put on the time. They need to put the time, the 9 hours. You're giving them something valuable that is handed to you. Perhaps it's a good idea to give it to someone who you care about, and it's a good present, a very good present, whether you do it during Christmas or Valentine or birthdays, or just present because you want to, or you might do it sponsorship. If you don't have a relationship with them, you might say like, look, I'm going to give you that ticket. You'll be able to learn this without having to pay for it, and in return, maybe you give me a discount on operating this node. So yeah, it's super exciting, Jerry, to see this all coming together with this community, and of course it's not a like a community job or a lot of people's job. It's just me. Nobody's helping me. I'm all doing the work all on my own. I kid you not. Like all of these people, nobody's doing any work. It's just me. It's just me. I'm doing all the work. Of course, that's a humor. I decided to say it in a way because every CEO, they always say the opposite. The opposite. They're like, oh, it's thanks to the team. Thanks to this. Of course, thanks to the team. And I say the same. Thanks to the team. Thanks for everybody's work. Thanks for every node owner who worked really hard to kind of understand it, to kind of propagate that knowledge to others, to kind of like let this community grow. And some of them they brought their own communities, and it's like they've done phenomenal work. We work days and nights here in HyperCycle. There's over 300 people in the world that they call themselves as HyperCyclers. And HyperCyclers kind of like you work in HyperCycle in one way or another, whether you work through one of the companies or whether you work for nodes only or retainers or whatnot. But you're working for this, and it's phenomenal to see how like everybody's working with that one goal to make sure our customers are successful. Okay, our customers are the node factories. So if you're a node factory owner, this is what we do days in, days out, is make sure that your business is successful. You're a node factory owner. You operate a business. You need to be successful. That's what we do, days in, days out.
Couldn't agree more. I look at where we've come this year, and it's truly been a journey worth having. Like it's like there's a purpose behind this, and it's more than just an endeavor. There's a real purpose here. And one of the things that I want to let the world know is that there may be a way for you to engage in this purpose with us, whether you're a node owner or a node operator, or you're looking to get your node, or you're an incredible educator and maybe working with us to produce educational content. There are many ways to participate in this journey, in this mission, to realize this purpose of bringing decentralized distributed AI to the world through the HyperCycle network, the internet of AI. And Toufi, I want to thank you personally for allowing me the opportunity to grow with this company. It's been, for me, a year of monster growth, not just professionally, but like socially, emotionally, in some sense, spiritually. It's been a heck of a journey. And I'm a better man today than I was the day you hired me. And I think that
thank you so much for saying that, Jerry. This is very very good for me to hear, because I always want to know that the people they're pulling this together with me, that they're actually feeling good about it and growing. And it's very heartwarming for me to hear that. I really hope that to accomplish that with everyone, as you know, throughout this journey. It's not always the case, because with some people we couldn't really get to that level, but that's nature. It's okay. We just hope that they do well in their thing. But it's always something that deep embedded in me, that I want to make sure that I structure things in a win-win. And no matter what, I don't like win-lose. I don't do win-lose. I like win-win. And win-win deals, they enjoy this thing that is called the synergistic emergence. And the synergistic emergence is when you bring in, let's say, if you were to put numbers on things, you bring in like 100 plus 100. If it's equal to 100, boring, there's no synergistic emergence. But if you put 100 plus 100 equal like 1100, great, then that delta is called synergistic emergence. And structuring things like that across the board, across the entire culture, across every node owner, operator. Let's not become win-lose. Let's do win-win across the board. It's a lot better. Even like if you think about it, like the node factory owners, when they're going to provide that to any AI, it's by construct, it is additive first. This is how it works. You have this thing, they have the AI. Anybody who's running any AI anywhere in the world, if they're generating revenue, they're candidates. If they're not generating revenue, maybe they're candidates. But if they are, they're definitely candidates. You plug them, you connect them into this. So let's say they're generating revenue in one machine, $10 a month or $100, whatever it is. This thing comes in and plugs. It doesn't disturb anything at all. It just makes whatever what that agent is doing exposed to the rest of the AIs in the world. Which means if it's going to do any more work, it's going to get more revenue. 100% guaranteed. It does not do more work unless it gets more money. So every fractions of a second, it's this thing is exposing it, and like, I can run this compute, I can run this compute, I can run this compute. I can translate, let's say, Italian to Spanish, or I can translate Japanese to Korean, because it's very useful nowadays. So you get, that is something that it can do. Somebody says, I have an agent that does facial recognition. Great. If you show this face and it says, this is Toufi, it knows that this is Toufi. Great. You need to have some huge database. Maybe that's the service that they provide. If they're generating $10 a month, they plug this thing. If the rest of the AI agents, they know that this thing does that, they might use it. You might say like, hey, I have an image. Can you tell me who this is? If this were to run any compute in that, it will get paid. Maybe a penny every second, maybe 2 pennies, whatever it is. So it's additive first, right? Great. Now, what else is there? If it's additive, it's going to get them more revenue. Based on a lot of market studies that some people, they came and reported to me, they said, if somebody generates $100 a year, they will generate $530 in 5 years just by having that additional plug. Okay, in 2 years, that's an extra, 5.3x. This is phenomenal. That's what they have said. This is the added. Now, if you're a node owner, you can provide this added thing to these people. Can you split that revenue with them? Sure, you can. What I advise you is give them the vast majority, because you know what else I've got for you. They don't. Now, of course, if you love them and whatever, but you already providing them with additional revenue they never accounted for. Imagine you're giving them additional. They were making $100 and making them $530, and you're giving them $450 from that. They are very happy. They're super content. They're great. And what you keep for yourself is not just that 10% of that revenue. You're keeping that entire wealth creation that you keep for those nodes, because that's giving you the ability to generate more and more nodes you can go plug to others, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's good to keep in mind, Jerry. Now, in a win-win, that is of course considered a win-win. A better win-win would be like, why don't you educate those people if they're willing to listen? Now, listen, some people, they might shut you down. They don't want to listen. That's okay. They're happy taking the $450. Give it to them. But if they're willing to listen, to know what you already know about that wealth creation, maybe they take $250 instead of $450. They give you the other $250, but they take part of that wealth creation as a growth, maybe. So it's good to give the option to the other side to learn that you can be not just additive, can be multiplicative. And that's what I mean by win-win giving that option. If people that reject, you just give me the additive, that's fine. But if they open up for you and say, like, you own a node, what does that do for me? And just give me the revenue and I'm happy, that's fine. They shut you down, they can just collect that part, they're happy, you're happy, everybody's happy.
I think we should put a pin in it right there, because it doesn't get any better than finishing with a win-win, and that we all have the opportunity to participate in this in any level that we choose, whether it be from an observational standpoint, a passive standpoint, or a fully immersed, absolutely aggressive learning going 100 miles an hour. All the seats of the bus are open. Take one and let's go for the ride. A closing shot or a closing comment for your optimism around what we can look forward to in 2025, and we'll close it out from there.
Not sure if that's pun intended when you say optimism, but yeah, keep that word in mind, because that will be something that people will remember, that there is a lot of cool things into like selling and buying products. It's those channels that the crypto world provides. Is like, there's like, the Ethereum, of course, you've got like some people that they want to use a huge chunk of their Bitcoins to sell compute via Bitcoin as a currency. Remember, we're not a currency. We're just like, we provide people the ability to transport whatever currency that they want. US dollars is so far winner. That's the one that came out 2 months ago. For those that they are not aware of that, the US dollars is the first to penetrate our network into buying and selling compute via US dollars. And it will probably most likely be the biggest. And we're super happy about that, because everyone in the world, they know US dollars, and it's pretty steady. I didn't have to educate anybody on US dollars, which is awesome. Bitcoin is something that we need to educate some people still, but that's okay. But that's coming next, along with many others. But when it comes to the actual methods that people use to buy and sell the nodes, it's not just Ethereum. There's so many other methods that they will be introduced for people, that they would be very happy to hear that they can have many of those channels in. Just like keep those words close to your heart, and then soon you will find out that they are additive to everything that you've got. And we continue doing our best to make sure our customers are successful in manufacturing or producing nodes.
Right on. So everyone, from our family here at HyperCycle to your family wherever you are, happy holidays, and may 2025 be just a little bit more fun and exciting than 2024. Pura vida.
And I'm not sure if that's possible, but yeah, I mean, we'll always aim for better. Thanks so much, Jerry.
Thank you, everyone. Toufi. Bye, everyone.
Bye.